Welcome back, dear students. Are you going well? Okay, hope you all are going well. In the previous class, we went through the lesson The Merchant of Venice. Now, shall we go through the next lesson? Okay, so all of you take your English text and take page number 192. Have you got grandparents at home? Yes, nowadays most of us don't have the good luck of enjoying the love and affection of our grandfather and grandmother. Here, the renowned poet Kamala Suraya recalls her sweet memories of her childhood when she lived with her dear grandma at her old house. Students, what's the title of the poem? Yes, very good. My Grandmother's House is the title of the poem. Then who is the author of this poem? Very good. Kamala Suraya is the author of this poem, My Grandmother's House. Now, shall we go through the profile of the author Kamala Suraya? Okay, let's go. Kamala Suraya was born in 1934, known by the names Madhavikutty and Kamala Das, was a gifted bilingual writer who could delight her readers with her inimitable style in both English and Malayalam. She is popular as a poet and short story writer. She was the recipient of awards like Eruthachan Puraskaram, Violar Award, Sahitya Academy Award, etc. My Story, The Old Playhouse, and other poems, Padmavati the Harlot, and other stories, My Mother at 66, etc., are some of her works in English. She was died in 2009. Hope you all understood the profile of the author. Students, now all of you read this poem individually and find out the difficult words. Did you read the text? Okay, now I'll recite this poem for you. All of you listen attentively. There is a house now far away where once I received love. That woman died. The house withdrew into silence. Snakes moved among books. I was then too young to read, and my blood turned cold like the moon. How often I think of going there to peer through blind eyes of windows, or just listen to the frozen air, or in wild despair pick an armful of darkness to bring it here to lie behind my bedroom door like a brooding dog. You cannot believe, darling, can you, that I lived in such a house and was proud and loved? I who have lost my way and beg now at strangers' doors to receive love at least in small change. Students, did you enjoy the recitation? Okay, hope you all identified the difficult words. Now let's discuss those words and their meanings. Withdrew, left. Peer, look closely or carefully at something. Despair, the feeling of having lost all hope. Brooding, sad and mysterious. Hope you all understood the meanings of the difficult words. Am I right? Now I'll give you the explanation of this poem. Listen carefully. Students, here the speaker of this poem is the poetess herself. This poem expresses the poet's memories of the love and affection that she experienced at her grandmother's house. It also shows her desire to go back to those days. The woman, my grandmother, who loved me dearly, died. Who is the woman referred to here? How is she related to the poet? Yes, the woman is the poet's grandmother. The house fell into deep silence. Snakes moved among books. So, what happened to the house after the death of the grandmother? Yes, very good. After the death of the grandmother, the house was deserted. Snakes crawled among the books of the lonely house. Then the poet said that she was too young to read books. Her heart was filled with sorrow. Now she have grown up and often think of going to that old house. She likes to look into the room through the dust-covered glass of the windows. She wished to listen to the gloomy and frightening silence lingering around the house. All of you look at this line. Or in wild despair pick an armful of darkness. What's the meaning of this expression, an armful of darkness? Yes, some of you are telling the right answer. An armful of darkness expresses the memories of the grandmother's house. The next line, to bring it here to lie behind my bedroom door like a brooding dog. It means that the memories will always remain with the poet. So in her heartbreaking sorrow and despair, she longs to collect a handful of memories and bring it to her new house and keep it forever with her. Now look the next lines. You cannot believe, darling, can you, that I lived in such a house and was proud and loved, I who have lost my way and beg now at strangers' doors to receive love at least in small change. Students, what do you understand from these lines? Yes, here the poet is addressing her friend who cannot fully understand how much love and care she got from her ancestral house and how proud she was there. But now she feels that she has no way to enjoy such love. She has to wander from house to house begging for love, hoping to receive at least a bit of it. In the last 3 lines of the poem, the poet thinks of herself as a beggar. What is she begging for? Yes, the poet is begging for love. What does she mean by small change? Yes, in a small quantity. Students, now let me ask you some questions. Why are the eyes of the windows described as blind? Yes, the windows are covered with dust, so no one can see through the glass. So they are described as blind. My next question, the air in the grandmother's house is frozen. Why? Yes, some of you are telling the right answer. It is because of the lonely atmosphere. Which words tell you that the poet is talking to someone? What is she talking about? Yes, very good. The words, you cannot believe, darling, tell us that the poet is talking to someone. She is talking about her grandmother's house and the love and affection she got there. My last question is, how does the house itself share the grief of grandmother's death? Yes, the house folds itself into silence to share the grief of grandmother's death. Students, hope you all understood this poem. Did you enjoy it? Okay, very good. So all of you recite this poem loudly and try to understand the meaning. Students, some activities are there in your text based on this lesson. So all of you take page number 194. Look, activity 1. All of you read it. The poet thinks of her past. How is her present different from the past? Yes. In her younger days, she received too much love and affection from her grandmother's house. But at present, she has to beg for even a bit of love. So this is the answer for this question. Look, the next question. Find hints or phrases from the poem which give you the idea that the house was deserted after the death of the grandmother. So all of you go through the poem and try to identify it. Try to write it yourself. Now all of you look activity 2. Look at the phrase blind eyes of windows. First question. Do you think that windows have eyes? No. Aren't eyes a feature of living beings? Yes. So is the poet attributing human qualities to windows? How? Here the poet uses personification. Personification is a figure of speech where a thing, an idea, or an animal is given human attributes. For example, the flowers danced in the breeze. Pick out another example of personification from the poem. Students, all of you go through the poem and identify another example for personification. This is a homework for you. Do it yourself. Now look activity 3. My blood turned cold like the moon is an example of simile. Pick out another simile from the poem. Students, do you know the definition of simile? Yes, simile is a figure of speech where something is compared to something else using words as or like. For example, he fought like a lion. Her gown was as white as snow. In the poem, darkness to lie like a brooding dog is another example of simile. Now look activity 4. Blood turned cold is an instance of a tactile image. Find out other images from the poem. Students, do you know about tactile image? An image of an object perceived by the sense of touch. It is the definition of tactile image. Students, now try to identify the tactile images from the poem. So this activity is also a homework for you. Students, hope you all understood the poem My Grandmother's House. Am I right? All of you go through this poem and try to do the homeworks. Thank you, dear children.